Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. A couple of days ago, it was the 5th anniversary of the 14th, of April. That was in 2015 when the lives of 276 households changed dramatically. And, sorry about that. Okay, I'll just take this out of my ear. That was when the life of 276 families were changed dramatically. Their daughters at Chibok Secondary School were kidnapped. And then you know the rest of the story. I think that was in 2014. In 2018, then there was Leah Sharibu. She also was abducted. She's been in custody for in incarceration for over a year now. The president addressed this situation, remarking through Garba Shehu that, he had said when he came in 2015 that he would bring your daughters home. It hasn't happened, but not for want or lack of trying. As the president put it, there have been challenges with the negotiations, with the interlocutors. And when the communities got together, I don't know if they're exasperated now. They are said to be looking to the United Nations for help, having, waited on all that can be done here and still not, getting joy yet. But the president has said that there is hope and that he still fully intends, as long as he remains commander-in-chief, to fulfill those promises to those Nigerian households. Well, my guests today, Chuks Nwoko and Ahmed Dada Abbas. Chuks is a publisher, public affairs analyst, and Ahmed Abbas is a legal practitioner and political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on, gentlemen.
Good morning to you.
There's a sense in which there's very little that is, starting with you if I could, Ahmed, there's very little that is political here, even though I did say, political affairs analyst. The president, as it were, engaging with the 5th anniversary. Give me an assessment of that, especially the content of the president's engagement, where he said that, look, I did say when I came that I would bring your girls home. And it hasn't happened, but not for a lack of effort, but that circumstances, and that he even said that he knew this was not the news that was looked forward to, and that this was not the news that they wanted to hear. But he spoke about needing to be brutally honest and say that this is an almost impossible situation, but they're not giving up. First of all, there's a sense in which, can you identify with it?
Yes, I think we've actually always clamored that our leaders should be honest with us in all national issues. And for me, bringing it up at this time, an issue that probably we all thought was gone and forgotten, for him to bring it back to the front burner and telling Nigerians the effort they have made and that they are not giving up, I think is reassuring. That is, it's an issue before the president, and we should be, having promised Nigerian people, we should one day also hold him accountable to his promise to bring those people back, especially the recent, I think the latest Christian girl that was held back when others were being released. I think he should really concentrate effort on that one, because it's really, it has created a lot of division in the society, because a lot of people felt, why negotiating for some? Why did you leave some behind and things like that? That ordinarily if they had done, put some more diplomatic pressure on those people, telling them probably the political implication of keeping her back in a society that is fractured along, religious line. It has done more damage, actually, to this, the unity of this nation, especially when it comes to the religious divide. For me, bringing it up, it's okay. We keep praying, because we must be optimistic and pray for our leaders to fulfill their promises.
Chuks, continuing on this theme, in case you want to change it, but part of the explanation is that, ongoing negotiations are what they are. And ordinarily, Leah would have been back home. But for the fact of, again, the insecurity, it is said in Garba Shehu's statement, that now the rebels are scared that, look, if we were to come across as agreed and, there's the hostage, getting out is another problem. And so because of the massive presence, as it is said, of the military, they have gotten insecure. Yet, as explained further by Garuba Shehu's statement, the army is not about to compromise on, fooling ground, as it were, as we say locally, in view of the security of the entirety of the region. So that seemed to be one of those kind of situations that is preventing Leah, getting back home to her family.
So Leah is being used as a scapegoat. First and foremost, I want to express the pain that I feel in my heart and empathize with the family of that young lady, Leah. If you have children, you can relate to what I'm saying. It is very painful. It's horrifying, and I don't have adequate words to describe how I feel.
Yes.
Just trying to connect with the situation where you have a child, the child is not dead, you haven't been able to see your child in 5 years. I think that...
Well, but Leah is not 5 years. Leah is just 2018, even though 1 day is too much.
Yeah, 1 day is too much. Okay. So even if it's for 1 week, I don't know the situation of that girl, whether she's...
No, because she was kidnapped separately. Okay. She attends, I think it's a science, yeah. She actually...
The girls' science school.
That's it. She attends the science and secondary school, in Dakchi, Yobe State. Okay. That's separate from the Chibok girls.
Well, whatever the situation is, taking somebody's daughter or taking a member of somebody's family leaves that family in perpetual retrogression, mentally, socially, spiritually, and otherwise. Well, how do you sleep? How do you eat? How do you interact? The fear, the fear that you feel, the anxiety that you feel, knowing that your loved one is being taken away from you, forcefully and all that. I think that it's high time that everyone in that axis and all of us in Nigeria connect with our family and put pressure on this government, even though I know they promised, Mr. President has promised. We should do whatever we can do to make sure that these people who are holding this girl release her. That's number one. Number two, I think that the United Nations should act. Because it's quick for Amnesty International to constantly write reports at the negative activities of the military or the police and all that. I think it's high time.
What can the UN do? I mean, it has this massive global influence, yes.
That influence,
but in terms of boots on the ground.
Yes. Influence, I don't know. Because, I mean, it's a huge organization. I run their programs here. Every time they proclaim a program, I run with it. Okay. And if you run with the SDGs, it's those programs, 17 goals, is enough to make an agency of a global status like United Nations to have heard the cry and heard this discussion and read the editorials. You know for how long editorials have been written about this situation, to make that body to support this government or put boots on the ground, like you say. They have the power, they have the resources to make the noise, to help interrogate what is going on and help find these girls. They have the resources. They can mobilize the resources. They have an office here in Nigeria here. They have an annex in Lagos here. They can do something. Because what is your relevance? What's your legitimacy if you cannot help in resolving some of these issues? Well, yes, especially when it has to do with a girl child.
Yes, but
the girl child is gold.
But it's our responsibility first and foremost. Foremost.
It's our responsibility. We have failed in that responsibility, not because we don't want to, but because we're incapacitated. The world has become a global village. We can get support by finding this singular girl. Even if it's just her finger that has been left behind.
Okay.
It will be that important to find her finger and return her, just because she's a girl child.
Ahmed, Chooks, understandably, and millions of Nigerians, are sounding very much like parents. They're going to be inconsolable. Their life would not have been the same since that thing happened. That's on the one hand, and it's actuality, but it's also emotional. Now, the people that have to deal with these things are not encumbered by such feelings. They can afford, because they are sort of removed, to be as clear-headed as a doctor needs to be when he wants to conduct delicate surgery. Now, with that kind of a background, I want to go back to what the president has said again as to the reason why we're where we're at, which is that negotiations fell through. is it worthwhile? Is it progress that, first of all, we are in negotiations with them, which ordinarily people say you don't do. Governments don't go into negotiations with terrorists and kidnappers. But then, because of the special nature, maybe the emotionalisms, or not the emotional aspects that I referred to earlier, they have broken that rule in order to bring back our girls. And while we're at this, we probably have to commend the what was that? Bring back our girls, obviously, organization for keeping this very, very much in view all those 5 years and not letting it flag. Garba Shehu was to say on behalf of the president that we would never forget. He had never forgotten, and it was always constantly on his mind. So in the midst of all of that was that professionals, hard-nosed professionals, are you sure they've done enough? Because parents probably will not be the best to handle this kind of a situation. But the hard-nosed professionals, all those specialists, mediators, are you sure they've done enough? And the reason given that Leah would have been home had the terrorists not got scared, and we're still looking for how to reassure them, because we're not going to do what they want. We're not going to tell the military to, back off. We're not going to do that. But they have to take our word for it and bring our girl to us. Right now, Garba Shehu's explanation is that they're scared, and that has held things up. Are you satisfied that we've exhausted all avenues?
Well, you see, sometimes maybe because we are on this side of the intelligence theater, and there are information.
The outside side.
Yes, we are not privy to some of the
stuff that's going on.
Yes, intel that is ongoing there. There are some informations that are not diverging to the public and all the rest of them. But one thing I've come to realize as a student of Nigerian politics or our national issues is that, you see, the society is so fragmented that the vulnerable segment of the society that actually take, the punch. I can guarantee you that if one eminent Nigerian daughter, like this, the daughter of an emir, the daughter of a governor, the daughter of an archbishop, the daughter of probably the minister for defense, has been involved in the Chibok and Dapchi incident, I can guarantee you that by now those children will be back at home. Wow. Yes, I can guarantee you that. They know how to take care of their own.
And that is one of the very difficult aspects of this situation.
To be honest with you, I will give it to Mr. President. I have tremendous respect for our president, and he's trying his best, because when he came, you can see on the day of his inauguration, he said security, economy, and corruption, and immediately he gave his field commanders a marching order that they should move their headquarters to Borno and see what they can do. They've tried their possible best. Having a leader who has good intention and being surrounded by people that can run with the vision is another different thing entirely. But I can tell you, I was born in this country. I've never gone out of, in terms of, I know if the daughter of one eminent, powerful, Nigerian was to have been part of those captured, I can tell you, as of today, those children will be back at home.
Well, that would be a very sad. If that is true, then that would be very sad.
See, look. Let me tell you.
By which I mean
yes.
that here's the president. Here is the government telling us that it is leaving no stone unturned.
Absolutely.
We are not sleeping.
Yes.
I will never forget. So, but to now put that next to, again, what you say, that look, we know what's going on. I'm a bit worried. Let me let Chooks react to that, and I'll come back to you. It would be sad commentary if it was true, this whole Nigerian thing, that when it affects one half or a certain part of society, all bets are off. The other part, Yeah,
but that's how societies are.
But this is different.
But yeah, it's not different.
It's not.
It's not. If any eminent Nigerian had, by the way, those guys didn't even bother to go to schools that are reserved for those talented children, which is reserved for eminent Nigerians. So they went to Dapchi, they went to Chibok, where these politicians probably will never enroll their children and all that. So he's made a statement of fact. Because if that has happened, everything will be deployed to bringing back those children. And that's why I said that
the only problem I have with this, sir,
Yeah.
is that you gentlemen, by your expressions, are alleging that,
No, the attitude will be different. The attitude will be
government
different. Things will be deployed.
is not playing fair.
Yeah. Well, it's not about government being playing fair.
Well,
the truth of the matter is that, look, these girls have been taken for how many years now and how many months. The president has said stuff. What I expect him to do going forward now is, look, if I was the president, I will sit on my table with my phones and I will call you in. Say, look, I give you 1 week to bring this girl back. See, when you start explaining things, you are going to lose your job with me. I have worked with people.
Yeah. There are people like that.
Who will give me deadlines, who will give me set goals for me and set objectives to me. And come on, I'm a president of Nigeria. Just give me the opportunity to be president of Nigeria for 3 days.
But you know,
I am going to sit down there and ask you, this job, I need it to be done. And I think you can do it. And I will give you an assignment. That's why the last time I came here, I told you a story about some fellow that I got interested in. His name is John O'Neill. I'm mentioning his name. He's dead now. He died in the year 2011. In fact, he died in the 9/11 incident. Now, we have talents like that in the military, in the Navy. So it's not usually about the president. When the president speaks, when Donald Trump speaks, he doesn't go to carry out those things. Some lady resigned from being a secretary of Homeland Security in the United States about 2-3 weeks ago. How did it happen? She has to go because the president has spoken and things are not going the way the president goes about. It's none of my business. But that's what we need to have right now. What do we need to have? Leadership. And leadership is not until you're praying. People need to lead from the back. There are people who come from that area. Their children are not kidnapped. Why must it be Leah that must be held back? And you're giving excuses. And when you start giving me excuses, you're gone. Because I don't give excuses to carry out my own responsibilities. My coming to this studio, I didn't have to be here. But we needed to discuss this matter. So I have to pay the price to be here. The point that I'm making is that Mr. President has spoken. His words should carry weight. People who I do business with know that if you tell me, look, your check is going to be ready tomorrow and all, you know I have every reason to trust you. If I don't get it. So that is how leadership is done everywhere.
Yeah.
Because if it's these other politicians, the difference is in just what I have just told you. Somebody will make sure that they retrieve or they get a sound assurance from the president. They will come to the TV and say, Mr. President has just given us his word. What is word? Word is you. What is who you represent? Your words represent you. They will take that word to whoever is in the Air Force, in the Army, the talent that is in the police, and they will go and find this guy. That motivation is what they need somebody to go and do. You don't need the whole battalion of Navy and Air Force and Army to go find these girls. It's that commitment to say, look, if Leah was, for instance, an American girl held in Mexico or in Colombia, you are telling me that the American military will not go and find her.
And that's American military.
Yeah, but that
they have more, they have much more resources at their disposal.
What they have, let me tell you, what they have is not resources. It's not technology. It's not what. If they were depending on those things, 9/11 will not happen. Didn't they have resources? Didn't they have technology? Didn't they have science? Didn't they have budget? Budget that is being given to people to spend. Do you know how much budget they spend and they actually give it to their citizens in science and inventions? What they have is that commitment, that nationalism, that this girl is an American. That's what they have. Those children brought down 9/11 with all their technology and whatever. So what we need to have is that nationalistic instinct, that empathy to empathize with our family that we're going to find this girl.
I hear you. And I can, even before asking Ahmed, he was nodding at some places, so I know that there are areas of alignment in what he was saying.
I agree with you.
But this is not the kind of thing that I, as a parent of a Chibok girl, want to be hearing, because I was actually hoping different. I was hoping that I'm a Nigerian, this is an unfortunate situation, my girl is a Nigerian, everything is going to stop until they bring my girl home. And why do I say this? Because the president said so. The president before this one said so. This president that has come has said so. And what we are saying here is that, it's unfortunate that you are who you are. If you happen to be someone else, then it will be radically different. But the kind of Nigerian that you are now, this is the utmost that can be done. And I think the presidency will be scandalized by that kind of a notion. That, are people not understanding us? We say that we're being relentless.
But I might explain something, that there are things that are going on that we don't know. We are asked, if I was in government, I would create a room where I can have access to these observations. They are just observations that we're making as people
Yes.
who are citizens.
Yes.
We're not privy to all
because
all the details. So
Yes.
there would not be any need for that kind of sentiment. If we make sense, fine. If we don't make sense, it's not a reason to become enemies or to quarrel with us and all that. We're just expressing our view or writing an editorial this morning concerning the subject matter because it's the 5th anniversary. Look, this girl comes from a family. I have 3 daughters. If you take any one of them, that's the only thing that I have, as a matter of fact.
Because the president is still holding out
If you have
hope.
taken the
president is still holding out hope. And that's the important thing.
It's no longer about the president. That's the point that I was making.
Well,
the president has spoken.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
And there are those who still hang on to what he has said.
I am hanging up. But what I'm saying is that beyond the president, it is a sword that has gone forth. Somebody needs to take that word. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to go
It's
to
not the person going
bush
to go to
now.
the, yeah.
So somebody that needs to go to the bush, we need to take that word. And it will be duty to say, it's you. I give you 72 hours, 1 week. Can you do it? If you cannot do it, let me find somebody to do it. Go find a team. That's how we do it.
Even as we are speaking, there was another attack, I think, very, very recently, about a week or 2 ago again. We're just close to the anniversary. They struck again. But sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's okay. You see, if you interrogate civilized nation, when they have a national disaster, they constantly engage in briefing the nation from time to time. When the Malaysian aircraft crashed some few years ago, you see, they brought in experts from all over the world. For several years, they kept on trying to unravel what happened. And I think at a point in time, they told the entire nation, the entire world, that we have done our best, we are closing this investigation until new information or new evidence emerges.
Yeah.
That is, they demonstrated to the entire world
that we
saw the
end
effort
of our current capacity.
We saw the equipment that were brought from all over the world. Equipment. So you could see the effort of people trying to unravel what led to the death of human beings. Brought in naval men and naval officers, brought in marine from Australia, from all parts of the world, and they kept on briefing the entire world, the families, what was going on. And at a point in time, they said, we've exhausted every idea. We are closing this chapter and hoping that in future, so that the society can go back. But you discover that apart from the Obeagalis of this world and all the rest of them, the government doesn't engage people in at least throwing out information of the effort that you are making. You see, when you tell the people the effort that you are making, it makes them to appreciate you. But when you leave people in darkness, they simply conjure all manner of things. Like I've said, and to corroborate what I told you, you see, I'm sorry to say, we have good leaders, we have responsible leaders. But I just told you, when a governor crashed in an helicopter, in a plane, some few years back, they flew the governor out, and his aides that were right in the same helicopter had the same accident, were abandoned in some rundown hospital here. Were those aides not human beings? Were their life not as precious as that of the governor? They could protect the governor from being killed. They were employed to take bullets on behalf of the governor. But now an accident occurred that they were involved in. We could take the governor outside for treatment. But those, his aides, were not important enough for us to accord them the same medical thing. If the hospitals here in Nigeria was not good enough for the governor, but it was good for those subhuman beings, because they have green blood and the governor has purple blood. How moral is it, sir, that people that are protecting your own life were involved in an accident? It's the system.
I see what you're saying, but I'm wondering if it is not slightly different from the case that we are looking at.
No, sir. It's the same principle. Sir, can I?
Let me.
It's not what I'm trying to say.
This is an affront, an attack on Nigeria. This is what the Chibok is an attack on us, on Nigeria. The other one was an unfortunate and sad accident. I'm not talking about value, but I wondered if you consider that there is this other magnitude in the case of the Chibok girls and the Dapchi girls, that this is us as a people. That was an unfortunate, sad and unfortunate accident. That's the slight difference that I sought to make, if you would consider it that.
I'm always we see
that
we
we treat our citizens differently.
Sir,
we don't use one standard for all our citizens.
Sir, the society is stratified into two segments.
Okay.
The privileged and the
okay. That's the point that you wanted to make.
undertrodden. And when anything affects the privilege, the institution, the structures come to their aid, give them privileged treatment.
Yes.
But if it involves the underprivileged, the man on the street, he can be treated anyhow. I'm sorry to say, but we're on air. I'm only saying if a very prominent, you can't tell me the Minister of Defense daughter were to be involved in this thing.
And then
we'll be dragging
for 5 years.
They will roll out the entire they will roll out the entire structure. Okay. We could do better. That is all I'm saying. We could have done better.
And I don't know what lessons we have learned from this, because I was reading stuff around this 5th anniversary, read that United Nations was actually demanding a higher security for schools like that, because we're talking about the outpost of, until, in fact, so very many Nigerians, myself included, I must say, had not heard of Chibok before, until they were put on the map for the wrong reason, like this. Until that outpost incident happened, nobody had heard of. Now the UN is, I don't know if it's suggesting or asking or urging, newsmen have a way of finding these words, governments to just make sure that our schools are more secure than they can. When they say these things, they sound like no-brainers. But can we actually do what is required that other people don't need to do because they don't have this crisis?
Yeah,
that is other countries.
I think that we live in a new world. That must be understood. The population of the world, minimized resources, can't go around and all that. And when Nigeria issue is being discussed, I get a feeling that a lot of people don't understand that the crisis that we face is a global phenomenon. All kinds of things are going on all over the world at the same time. But specifically about Nigeria, they just advise that schools should be secured. And I just said what I said so that we can understand it, that it's not just Nigeria. It's not Nigeria. There's the natural world has diminished. I mean, if you go to places like Malaysia and all that, so the resources, and then we are even lucky in Africa, particularly in Nigeria. We still have our forests, we still have a few things going for, we can farm and all that. We're just refusing to do some of the things we're supposed to be doing and all that. So all this pressure is going on. But we talked about women the other time. The reason these things are going on in our society today is because those that are interested with the security, building, and all of that of home and homes have abandoned their responsibility, and it's our women. It's an enormous responsibility. Some of our women are still doing what they have been called to do, if you understand what I mean. Because why will young men who were given birth to by women come to a point in their life trajectory where they can think of going to girls' school, to go and pick up girls in large number? What did they do? What has society done to them? What is the fault of those girls? Go and take them.
Odious as it must sound, no doubt it's all about indoctrination. It's not a logical process that you're trying to make.
It's fun. The homes are the building blocks of society. Okay. That's why I am systematically saying what I'm saying. It is the responsibility of a woman to give birth to a child, go through birth pains, give birth to that child, and breastfeed that child and all that. Then you throw that child in the street. You have abdicated your responsibility. And that irresponsibility on your part is what is smoking society. Because if you check activities of men everywhere, you would always trace it back to a woman. And I think that the United Nations, who prioritize the woman in their agenda, should step in. That from henceforth, they must be given equal opportunities, they must be empowered, they must receive human capital development, they must receive economic empowerment, and above all, they must receive entrepreneurship. Because they need to just keep holding forth by educating these children, and so the child cannot grow up and go and kidnap
Sure.
Go and kidnap another girl or another boy. Then the boys must be groomed by men.
I got to go on a break now.
Because if you go around Lagos, it's scary what is going on in our society.
I couldn't agree with you more, but I've got to go on a break now. Come back and we'll focus on 5 years on the Chibok girls. The president has held out hope. How hopeful can we be? Must be the question that the parents are asking. And indeed, by extension, what is it? The other Nigerians who are parents as well. It's like every Nigerian is like a parent of a Chibok girl.
Absolutely.
Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and of course we'll take your calls now. Chuk Swoko and Ahmed Dada Abbas in studio. We're looking at the 5th anniversary. A couple of days ago, it was April 14, 2014, and the president is still holding out hope. They are not forgotten. There are challenges, but they will be brought back home. Parents themselves, some reportedly are saying, you know, I think the United Nations needs to come to our aid. Because parents in the area sort of, you know, events were organized to mark that time. The stories they're just heart-wrenching stories. Some parents have died since then. You know, they died in the despair of not knowing where. Some man was quoted, you know, he had 2 wives. He and his second wife managed to escape. His first wife and her daughter were abducted, and the stories, the human stories of anguish go on and on. And the presidency is saying that they are not unaware, but that they wanted to be brutally honest, that they seem to be saying they are as frustrated as the parents are. But then still, even though that might be a truism, people look up to government, right? I don't know. Yeah, you've been explaining some of those parameters. And so it's probably in the interest of this administration to just catch a break, whatever kind of a break it is, catch that break and be able to indeed show. Oh, by the way, when we talk about 276, actually, that is the number that was abducted. But as you're well aware, now there are 112 still with them, because we did get some back. Some of them have gone off to the U.S. Well, you know, but there are still 112 girls in there of that 276. And then Leah Shuaibu, who only in 2018 was abducted. So there's that situation. And it's, you know, one of the things that sort of cuts through is when the idea is floated that if they had been daughters of the elite, if someone had hit an elite school somewhere, even, you know, to further illustrate this point, maybe someone that hit one of those multinational schools that we have up and down the place, you know, and taking away 276 people, some Lebanese being there, some Greek being there, some Nigerians being there, you know, that kind of, there are schools like that.
Some Americans.
Some Americans. Okay, you're looking for trouble. You're not going to put Americans in there. Some Americans in there. But the terrorists didn't know who was who. They just took 276. You seem to be saying that, you know, be as correct as you want, but things would have been different if the actual victims had been different.
Absolutely. I believe that there's still room to demonstrate
One moment, please. Let me bring in Mr. George, who called in from Ikeja. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guests there.
Good morning.
morning.
Uncle Yori, the larger blame should go to those who were in power then, who were busy looting our money and did not even agree that abduction took place until a month later. Some foreign countries came to help us, to rescue them. They sent them back. These are the people who are struggling to come back again to power today. And that was one of the reasons that I made up my mind that this group of people must leave government and they must never return again. I heard the speaker talking about giving commands to rescue these girls. At this stage, when somebody is rescued, you cannot use military operation, or when somebody is abducted, you can't use military operation to rescue that person. The life of that person will be jeopardized. You have to do what they call negotiations. And I think it was negotiations that the government did, that they were able to retrieve some of the girls. We all know that at a point, the criminals, they got split into factions. And the girls too may have also been, divided among them. So they want to be able to retrieve the girls now will become as difficult.
Doubly difficult.
Very, very difficult. It won't be as easy as it was when the government was able to retrieve the first set of girls. So all those things should be borne in mind. That is why I think as much as we are saying the government is not, I agree with Mr. Abbas that if the children, we are children of ministers, they will have rescued them. The Jonathan government will have believed it, and they will rescue them. But because they are children of the poor, they didn't care. Just like the way they look at us, the electorate, we don't matter to them. But they want our votes, and to get there. After getting there, we don't matter to them anymore. So, but the issue is the government. I'm happy they have not slept. You know that the president will not be able to tell the public everything that he's doing about this issue. But I am one person that also is keeping my hope alive.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. And Mr. George, that reminds me of when I was talking about negotiations falling through, according to Garba Shehu's statement. Part of the further explanation of that is what Mr. George just referred to, that, look, they have since split up. These terrorists, they've since split up amongst themselves, ideologically or whatever their interests are, the result of which is that there is no unified voice anymore. And this makes agreement.
Negotiations can be
This makes agreements a lot more difficult.
Negotiations can actually
when one
be
section says okay, the other section says absolutely not.
Absolutely. We can even be, negotiations can be very, very traumatic and very, very extremely difficult with a certain class of people. Do that in mind. So, but you can deploy technology in forcing them to come to your side of the table. So, you can use whatever you want to use. America took out Osama bin Laden under Obama and all that. When negotiation becomes extremely difficult, because there are people you cannot have a discussion with in this life. You can never have a discussion with certain class of individuals in this life that you're living.
I have heard you. Look, let me bring it to you, Ahmed. Is it, and it's connected, but not directly from what you were saying, but is it more difficult now for them to pull the same stunt that they pulled in 2014?
No, it will be...
Is it more difficult now?
You see, even with the technology, the resources, the manpower at the disposal of the United States of America as the biggest, most powerful military nation on the surface of this earth, it took them 10 solid years searching for the most wanted man in the world. 10 years of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars scouting around the whole world to be able to track Osama bin Laden down. So sometimes this is not a conventional warfare where you can easily say, oh, the headquarters of Boko Haram or these terrorists is kilometer 48. They are very fluid. They move. They have intelligence. So you could have intelligence reports that they're actually in mile 12 today.
Since they don't play conventionally.
They don't play conventionally. You are not fighting a conventional warfare. And they also use most of these kids as shield. So that's why fighting them conventionally, sending in troops there to fire them and release those girls, you are going to have incredible collateral damage. The very same people you are going to rescue may likely be the people who might not be able to run and escape. Because don't forget, these guys are trained.
Yeah.
They are trained. They can maneuver within the forest and leave vulnerable people to be killed. So they have to be tactical. So they have to be patient.
So like Mr. George said, we just have to hold on to the hope that the president is holding out.
Yes.
But Yakub has been waiting for a while. Good morning, Yakub.
Yeah, she's very good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in. You wanted to add something? Oh, I see. That's what
Let
happened.
me quickly just, like what George said, it only tells you how, incompetent a government can be. That such a horrendous activity or incident took place in your government with the resources, with your security apparatus, you were not able to come to a point to know that something of such a serious security connection actually took place. And Obasanjo said that the first 78 hours was actually bungled in trying to believe and disbelieve. Because in transit, if you ambush people in transit, they want to live with their life intact. If they are surrounded, the ability to negotiate would have been more on the side of the government when they are trapped.
If they had acted.
If they had acted, because
in a
for
timely
the first
manner.
24 hours,
They were still
48
doubting.
hours, they were in transit.
Okay. Well.
They were still doubting. And in fact, they said it was politics.
Unfortunately, yeah, we remember all those stories, but they're in the past now.
Yeah.
And these girls, after that horrible situation, 5 years on, are still, some of them are still there. As I said, 276 to start with, 112 of our daughters left in there, and then add Leah Shaibu as an outstanding from those that were retrieved from, those particular sets of terrorists. Somebody on the line there? Oh, Mazi Okoroafo. Good morning, sir. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guests in the studio.
Morning, sir. Morning, sir.
Good morning, our guests, sir. Good morning, sir. You see, Nigerian government should learn a lesson from Chibok guest episode of Saga. What do I mean by that statement? We are not praying for anything like that to happen again. If such situation happens, they should what they did in Zamfara yesterday is that's supposed to be done in that place. Had it been the federal government what happened that time, they did what they did yesterday in Zamfara, all this novel thing we are just hearing will not happen. What we are praying that such things should not happen again. If such happens, Zamfara system should be used. Now, what do we learn from that issue of this Chibok? Now, people will call it politics. People will call it but all these things are man-made. What we should do now, we should prevent such occurrence of such situation. Because the trauma the people there are facing, the parents, even Nigerians alone are facing. Because when I watch television, I watch where they display benches and chairs. We don't student names. And short, my heart boils. Why? Because these are human beings. That at least they should be talking about being either graduating from university or they are about finishing going to do their masters. Now, what do we do? If it takes bringing international community to come and do their own strategic method of intelligence, let us use it, because the military way of using that as trained. Let us use international community to come and solve the problem. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And he's referring to, it's in the old papers, soldiers killed 27 terrorists, and say that kind of single man. In fact, there also are critics who are rising. Now,
But it came late.
Yes, yes.
It came late. It came late. I believe that's.
So that's what Okorafor is saying.
Yeah,
that, look, if we had been this serious,
yes,
then it wouldn't have. But
we wouldn't have gotten to
it. I guess with hindsight, they say it's 2020 vision. Unfortunately, so it's all right for us to say that now.
But it was just not the fact that they were playing politics with this thing when it happened, even though it's in the past now. The amount of money that was spent, that was given to head of committee. There's one particular man, I can't remember his name. He was very nice, light blue Agbada, and come to television, and he was the head of the committee, and money has been given on Wednesday, Federal Executive Council meetings and all that and all that. The man has disappeared from, I haven't seen him in a long time. What he did with those monies, I don't know. He was the one that started this negotiation thing in that time, in that 2014. But I think that if these people, they have conscience, men who have conscience, and this thing, you did it, and you're now enjoying that money and enjoying your own peace, and all your children are not involved.
Yeah. You wonder how people like that can sleep at night.
No, I know how they sleep. Because their conscience does not allow them to sleep. They drink champagne with the money.
Okay. Yakub, thank you for trying back again.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And good morning to your guests.
Good morning.
It is very, as Kurafo rightly said earlier, that we should try to prevent the occurrence of these issues. It is very, but the question still remains that do we really have human capacity in terms of our military and police to police our border, to police all the schools, as the United Nations says? The answer is no. Why is that? Some of our elite, all because they have money. One of your just made a very valid point earlier. The police that are supposed to policing me, you and the other people, ordinary citizens, all these people, because they have the money. If you go to their house, one is guiding their wife, one is guiding their children to school. What happened to me and you? Instead of them to withdraw these police, because we don't have much police and military to policing us. That is the truth. Then, the Boko Haram issue, it is very difficult to negotiate with them. Why? Because they have already factionalized. As you rightly said earlier, if you are negotiating with one group, the other group will say, no, we don't agree with you. If you dare do this, we put the other people in our custody. And then I give kudos to Mr. President. Why? Because he go out of his way and bring money out of the SF product account to go and purchase Tucano. And then this Tucano aircraft, we will not land this country until 2020. Maybe almost 1 year coming now. We see that aircraft land into our country in order to fight these people. But you cannot even fight them the way you want. Why? Because you'll be running away for collateral damage. Because the same guy that you want to rescue, these people are using them as a guide. And then if you go off for, you can kill them and kill the same children. And it's a difficult thing. It is only God Almighty Allah will help us out of this situation. Thanks and God bless.
Indeed. Thank you, Yakub, because these are some of the internal tensions that must be faced.
Experts can resolve it.
See, in resolving, so I'm just trying to, in resolving some of these tragedies, we must constantly interrogate what happened, how do we avoid it? Look, you can't police a society without technology. 21st century, you can't. You cannot use just human beings to police an entire society. We must invest in massive investment in technology, because if the power sector was working and we had CCTVs around the whole schools and all the rest, even because of the challenges now, if the government comes as a policy and say, look, every school, please put in CCTV, put in technology around you to monitor movement and all the rest of them, whether you like it or not, when incidents like that occurs and there's a review, there will be snippets of information. That's why when an aircraft crashes, what do we look for? We look for the black box. They won't even be talking of the dead bodies any longer, because they want to prevent future occurrence.
So they want to know
they
what
want
happened.
to search, and they will do everything possible to search for the black box to be able to interpret what really went wrong so that they can avoid it. That's technology.
Absolutely.
Without that black box, nobody will be able to tell us what actually transpired or what are the things that went wrong in the aircraft. So we must
deploy technologies if we're going to do a credible job, is what you're saying. Okay. Let me bring Umar in Kano. Good morning, sir.
Mr. Yori. Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm calling you from Kano. Good morning to our guest, please.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Yori, as a retired military officer,
okay.
I retired from the intelligence department. And what I want Mr. Chief to know, in this country we have about 1,470-something porous borders in this country. Most of these borders, I went with my own legs, especially during Abacha. So the problem we have in this country, even if you pursue, even if the military now maybe attack this Boko Haram in Cameroon border, the Cameroon doesn't have enough forces to defend their border, because they have a large, they have a very vast area, land that is a forest in Cameroon. The same thing in Nigeria. Even if you take the whole Nigerian armed forces and the police, or the whole uniform men and women in Nigeria, go and line them in our borders, they can't defend this country. But what I will suggest is this: intelligence. What America today is proud of is intelligence.
Okay.
the whole country, the whole developed countries, I can say what they are proud of is intelligence. That's what we call native intelligence.
Okay.
This native intelligence is the local community. I'm proud to be in the military intelligence during Abacha. From Nigeria down to Murnai in Niger, in Sudan, I mean. From Nigeria down to Murnai. That was the town bordering Chad and Sudan. Nigeria has its intelligence guys here. Anything coming to Nigeria, any vehicle maybe carrying any suspicious items or anything, Nigerians will have an information of that vehicle coming to this country. We have locals that used to maybe wear cows, like all this Fulani and what have you. We have a strong intelligence that time. And we communicate, even that time, we don't even have a phone, but we communicate with them. We know how we communicate with them.
Okay.
We know how to dispatch our information to us. So this country, what I believe, we lack intelligence in this country. That is our main problem.
And you are saying, you are saying, Umar, that it's an almost impossible task because there are far too many border posts to be manned effectively.
It's not even the border post. It's like let me give you an example of maybe Katsina to Kebbi State. We have more than 372 borders routes. We have more than 300 porous border routes. How can security agency man that border route? They will only man in the afternoon, in the night. Who will stay there? Nobody can stay there in the night. Even let's take an example now in from Agri to Owode.
Okay.
That is in Ogun State. You can only see the security agencies on the main road like Same border, Owode border, and Owode in Ogun State. You will see only security agencies there on the road. In the night, go and follow the forest route. Nobody will go there. Nobody will go and stand there.
I see.
So that is our main problem. Intelligence is our country. If say we have intelligence and the government funded the intelligence of our intelligence unit of this security agencies, I believe something will be done very well.
Thank you so very much for calling us, Umar, and sharing some of your experience as an intelligence officer when you were in the military.
So,
he's now retired.
So if that is the situation, 20 years ago, I've heard this is intelligence that is our intelligence. So I've been following Trump.
But we don't have enough.
Yes, we don't have enough. Why don't we have enough?
Yes.
I told you there's a global change and all that. Nigeria is not exempt from whatever. But you see, you have Trump hammering on building walls.
A wall. Which people say is ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. Meanwhile, they have some walls in some places. People are crossing it. But you know what? I want to draw your attention to that. There's a place called New Mexico in the United States. How did you come and have New Mexico? They went by themselves to fight a war in that place. And annexed that part. That place is warless now. It's talking about intelligence. I think that it is the government's responsibility to, no matter how vast and how many outposts that we have existed here in the last 60 years also. We can do better than we are doing.
Okay.
And emulate those who are doing the things that we need to emulate.
I think that's a fine place to leave it. Did you want to add anything more?
They should also make a new policy. Let's make military service compulsory for our young people.
Absolutely.
Just 1 year, so that you have a reservoir of military men with me, and you could call them at any instance to be of assistance.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Dada Abbas, lawyer and political affairs analyst. Thank you very much. And also Chuks Nwoko. Mr. Nwoko is a publisher and public affairs analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your perspectives. We on the program still hold out hope. President Buhari said, we have not forgotten, and there is reason to be hopeful. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folani. Bye-bye for now.